Okay, so that title might hit a little close to home, right? If you have no friends. It's a tough thought and a feeling a lot of us have secretly felt. But today, we're going to look at this from a totally different angle, one you probably haven't heard before.
Yeah, let me tell you something people just don't say out loud. We're not going to talk about the usual stuff. Just put yourself out there. Nah, we're getting to the real reason. Some of us just always feel like we're on the outside looking in.
So, if you have few friends, or maybe even no friends, society has a bunch of labels for that, doesn't it? Awkward, antisocial, maybe just weird. But what if that's not the whole story? What if there's something else going on entirely? It might just mean that something is different about you. And this right here is the key. This is what we're digging into. The idea that maybe, just maybe, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just fundamentally different. And you know what? Most people just don't get that.
All right, section 1, a different narrative, society's formula versus psychology's story. Let's break down these two completely opposite ways of looking at friendship.
Okay, so on one hand, you've got society's formula. We've all heard this, right? More friends means more success. Being super social is normal. Being popular makes you valuable. But then, there's psychology's story. And it says having only a few friends, well, that can actually be a sign of some pretty rare and complex traits.
So let's jump into the first one, section 2, rejecting the superficial. Or, as I like to call it, your zero tolerance for fake energy.
See, here's the thing. You probably don't actually struggle to make friends. You struggle to tolerate people who aren't real. It's like you have this built-in detector for fake energy, and when it goes off, you just can't play along.
Think about the common ways people bond on a surface level. Things like gossip, constant complaining, pretending to be someone you're not, playing those weird social hierarchy games. Your brain just rejects all that. For so many people, that's the foundation of friendship. But for you, it's just noise. It's static. And you'd rather have the quiet.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever left a group conversation just feeling completely drained? Like way more tired than when you showed up? That feeling isn't you failing at being social. Nope, it's the feeling of your brain having spent an hour fighting its own instincts, trying to connect with something it just fundamentally doesn't value. And that's because you crave depth, not quantity. You honestly don't want 20 surface-level friends. What you're really after is just one real connection. You're the person who wants to talk about stuff that actually matters, like meaning, psychology, what we're all afraid of, our purpose. You want to know why people do the things they do. But let's be real, those conversations are hard to find. So you wait, and a lot of times people mistake that patience for you just being isolated. Okay, next section. Let's talk about the high cost of socializing, and specifically how your brain processes social interaction. Because this goes way deeper than just a preference. It's about your actual brain wiring. So, some of us have what psychologists call a sensitive nervous system. And what this means is that a simple conversation for you isn't simple at all. It's not just hearing words. It's like your brain is running a complex program, processing tons of social data all at once. Think about all the layers you're analyzing in a single conversation. You're processing their tone of voice. You're reading their microexpressions. You're analyzing their body language. You're sensing these tiny emotional shifts in the room. While everyone else is just listening to the words, your brain is doing all of this, all at the same time. And wow, does that burn a ton of energy? So when you have to withdraw and be alone after all that, it's not because you hate people. It's not you being antisocial. It's because your brain literally needs to reset. It's overloaded, and it's screaming at you that it needs to shut down and recharge. All right, which brings us to our next part, independence and trust. We're going to talk about low social dependency and having really high standards. Psychology actually has a name for this, low social dependency. It means your identity doesn't just collapse if you're not getting constant feedback from other people. You're okay on your own. You can go to a movie alone, eat at a restaurant alone, and you don't feel lost. It's not that you don't value people, it's that your sense of self is solid. And think about this for a second. When someone doesn't need approval, they can't be controlled. That's a really powerful thought, isn't it? That kind of independence can actually be pretty intimidating to some people, because if you don't need their validation, they can't control you. So why is that trust threshold so high in the first place? Well, for a lot of people, it wasn't really a choice. It was a defense mechanism built from things like past betrayal, or times you felt excluded, or just constantly being misunderstood. You've always been the different one, so your brain learned to be careful, to watch people for a long time before you let them in.
And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most important part of this whole thing, the real question, the difference between strength and fear.
Because look, walking alone doesn't automatically make you strong, and having a ton of friends doesn't automatically make someone weak. There's a lot of nuance here that people miss. It's all about why you're doing it.
So here's the real distinction you have to make for yourself. Are you being selective, meaning you're choosing to be alone to protect your energy and stick to your standards? Or are you afraid? Are you avoiding connection because you're scared of being judged or betrayed again? Being honest with yourself about that question, that's where the real growth starts.
So I want to leave you with this one last question, and I want you to be really honest with yourself. When you're alone, what's the feeling that's really there? Do you feel alone, or do you just feel different? Because believe me, there is a world of difference between those two feelings.